live on Tuta FM radio, and Tuta is on 90.7 in Mansa. We are also live on our Facebook page. Remember, it's 5FM Radio Zambia, and we are also live on our YouTube channel, and that is 5FM Zambia. Look out for that. Leave us a comment, and we'll be glad to hear from you. Also, don't forget that we will be giving you an opportunity later on to call in and interact with our guest on the program. I'm your host, Zakaria Banda. My guest today is Honorable Mike Mponsha, who is Munali Member of Parliament, and he's also Minister of Water Development and Sanitation. It's always a pleasure to have you on this particular program, and welcome, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Zach. Thank you for having me, and good morning to our listeners.
Great. How is Munali doing?
Munali is okay. A few challenges here and there, but we are managing.
Indeed.
Yes.
We'll get to those challenges in detail. But first things first, the burning issue on top of the list is the reduced water supply to most Lusaka residents due to obviously works that are being undertaken. But then there are a number of communities that feel that there was no adequate information given to the public, especially on this matter. Just take us through, Honorable Minister, what is going on?
Thank you, Zach. And again, I want to thank the radio station for giving me this opportunity to interact with our people. Yes, we announced that we'll be shutting down Iolanda 1 treatment plant to facilitate major repair works in Kafue. And I want to confirm that these works are currently ongoing.
Right.
As to whether there was no sufficient information relating to the shutdown is another. I think we did what we could.
Right.
First of all, I guided our commercial utility and also the ministry that we needed to set up a roadmap in terms of how we are going to engage our people regarding the shutdown. So the first thing was to brief the country, not only Lusaka, but to brief the whole country, because this shutdown was going to affect their capital city. And in a way, we are all connected to this bigger city called Lusaka.
Right.
So we had to go to Parliament to issue a ministerial statement. And through that ministerial statement, we also reached out to the various media platforms. That was point number one.
Right.
The second point was that we were going to get members of Parliament representing the 7 constituencies of Lusaka.
Right.
On the familiarization of this leakage called Naboye leakage. So we did, as a ministry, lead a delegation of members of Parliament to Kafue on the spot where there's this leakage. The third point was to engage further the elected representatives of the people of Lusaka, the councillors. So we had 2 groups of councillors going into Kafue, again to go and appreciate the magnitude of the problem we were trying to resolve. Now, when you look at what we did, and also in addition to that, we had the CU itself, the commercial utility, Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company, holding a press conference, announcing to the people that this is what is going to happen. So I regret that there could still be some sectors of our society who fail, or who felt, or who still feel that we didn't give adequate information. That is regrettable. But I just want to say that we did what we could to reach out to the people. Now, Zach, you want to appreciate that about 3.5 months ago, I was taken to the site to go and appreciate the problem. This is a leakage which has not been there for a week or for a month or for 2 months. It's been there for years. And we've been losing water. At a point of inspection more than 3 months ago, I found that we were losing 10 million liters per day of treated water. That, to me, was unacceptable. This is water, treated water. This is water we are pumping.
And the treatment is expensive itself.
Extremely expensive. The chemicals we are using to treat this water are imported chemicals. Then this is water being pumped at a high pressure. And this cost us money to pay for electricity, for energy, to pump this water. Then 2 kilometers down the line, you are losing 10 million liters per day. So we had to find money. We had to make a decision that we need to repair this. Now, I want the listeners out there also to understand that this Iolanda treatment plant and the pipeline, Iolanda 1, this is a network which was constructed in the 70s, 1970. So it has obviously saved its use, it has seen its years, and it requires a routine maintenance. But at this particular point, the loss of water was huge, to a point where for many years, some people took advantage of this misfortune, and they set up their small pumps, petrol pumps, to be irrigating and whatnot, because they didn't understand that this water, for them, there was this water, boom, and they started using it. So for many years, you go around there, so many farming activities taking advantage of this misfortune. So you can't blame them, but this is what was happening. So we had to make a decision that we needed to repair this. But now you need to understand also the complication which was there. This fort is at a bend. The way this line was constructed, because the area is very hilly.
Okay.
So you wouldn't go up the mountain taking this pipe there. It was going to mean
reduced pressure, obvious compromised pressure.
Exactly, but also more cost in terms of you needed more energy to pump over the mountain. So the engineers took advantage in the 70s, took advantage of the cliff where the two mountains are meeting down there, and they passed this line along that cliff.
Right.
Now, in doing that, it means that the pipe is not straight. It has to make some bends at various points. So the area where we have this fort is actually 2 kilometers from the treatment, from the abstraction point, the treatment point.
Right.
And there, 2 kilometers down the line on the pipeline, you have the first bend. Now, these bends have to be anchored against the mountain, so that as you are pumping with high pressure, you don't have your line getting damaged or scattering as a result of pressure. So you need to lock it against the mountain, then bury it on the concrete. And it's at that point. Now, where you are creating a bend, it means two pipes are being joined. You create that bend, then you put a coupling. This is an accessory that holds the pipe together. So the only thing that we were able to see, and our engineers were able to see, was this massive volume of water being lost. At that stage, we didn't know the exact fault. We knew there was a pipe burst, but we didn't know at what point, and also the magnitude of the fault or the leakage itself, other than from the results we are seeing in terms of the leakage. So we needed to blast, to break this concrete, open it, appreciate the problem. So at that stage, we took a risk and worked on an assumption that this fault, because it's at a bend, it's coming at a bend, all of us assumed that it's either the coupling has given up, and then the pipe has split because it's at a joint.
All right.
So we worked on that assumption to say, okay, before the shutdown, let's bring in enough couplings, because this is a 900 millimeter inch pipe. It's a big pipe. And all these accessories are not found here in Zambia. So we had to bring them in. So we had to import from South Africa. We had to press a special order. These things were procured, brought in. And that's when now we began the announcement to say we are shutting down. Now, I want our people to understand that this shutdown A lot of people have misconstrued the information that we are going to, for 60 days, we will not have water completely. That is not the true position.
Right.
I want you to understand that every day, Lusaka demands for 480,000 cubic meters of water every day. This is, if you like, 480 million liters of water. So this is the current demand for Lusaka. We are only able to supply 300 out of the 480 which is demanded. We are only able to supply 306,000 cubic meters per day. So from 480,000, we are only able to supply 306,000 cubic meters. Now, this 306,000 cubic meters is coming from 3 points. One point is the same line which we have shut down. This is called Yolanda 1 water treatment plant and its network. This particular one gives Lusaka 85,000 cubic meters of water. If you like, 85,000 million liters per day. Then we have Yolanda 2, which is the famous Kafue bulk project which we commissioned last year.
Right.
This one is giving us, it has a design capacity of 50,000 cubic meters of water, or 50 million liters, if you like. But we are pushing it to give us 70,000 cubic meters, or 70 million liters per day. Then we have another, the third source of water for Lusaka. We have boreholes dotted around Lusaka in various places. For example, if you go to mass media area, opposite mass media, we have our installations there. We have a well field there where we have several boreholes feeding into our reservoir and distributing water to various parts of Lusaka. So such facilities, or the groundwater source using our boreholes, is giving us, out of the 306,000 cubic meters which we supply every day, from the boreholes dotted around Lusaka, we are supplying 151,000 cubic meters per day. So now, when you do your mathematics, from 480,000 cubic meters which we require, and unfortunately we are only able to supply 306,000 cubic meters. This gives us a deficit of 174,000 cubic meters. So this is the current situation. Even without the shutdown, we already have a deficit of 174,000 cubic meters of water every day, which we are not able to supply to meet the population growth of Lusaka. Now, with the shutdown, with what I've explained, we have shut down our Yolanda 1 network, which means from the current supply, we have taken away 85,000. We still remain with the 70,000 cubic meters per day, which is coming from Kafue bulk or Yolanda 2. We still remain with 151,000 to be supplied. So it's not a total shutdown. The only thing is that from the 174,000 cubic meters deficit,
Yes.
the deficit has increased from 174,000 to 259,000 cubic meters of water. So for now, out of the 480,000 cubic meters which we need to supply to the people of Lusaka as per daily demand, we have a huge deficit which has increased by 85,000 cubic meters as a result of the shutdown. Now, with this, it just goes to demonstrate, I wanted to take time to just emphasize the fact that it's not a total shutdown.
Right.
We have just reduced the amount of water we are supposed to supply because of these repairs. So we still have water being supplied to various parts of Lusaka. Now, what have we done? We have directed our CU, Lusaka Water, to ensure that they give enough information in terms of the supply schedule. And the 60 days, I want also to emphasize.
Yes.
The schedule has been drawn. the schedule is being circulated, and I monitor the Facebook page of Lusaka Water. And also, they have been engaging the media. I want to thank you, Zach, 5FM, and also various media platforms that have been carrying our messages to ensure that the people are aware of what we are doing in terms of the shutdown, and also appreciate the magnitude of the problem we are trying to resolve, but also to follow keenly about the supply schedule for Lusaka. And I can tell you that this particular shutdown, I think we've managed it very well in terms of giving out information. And I just want to urge our people to be proactive in following these announcements. So all in all, Zach, what has happened is that we've reduced on average our daily supply by between 4 to 6 hours. So for example, in your area, if you've been receiving water for 18 hours in a day, it means that we are reducing your supply by between 4 to 6 hours. But again, it doesn't mean that, one, you will not have water throughout the day. That is not correct, unless there's a fault in a particular area. So this is what has happened. I thought that I should just emphasize, but also to indicate that critical facilities such as health institutions, we have made arrangements to ensure that those are treated in a different way. Those who have water throughout 24 hours, to ensure that we don't have a risk of having disease outbreaks, because already at the hospital, you have patients there, and if you have a shutdown, it can create a bigger problem. So certain special facilities, institutions have been spared from this shutdown.
Now, Honorable, you might have obviously gotten curious yourself, considering the fact that this problem that is being worked on now has been in this state for many years. You should have probably asked questions. Why hasn't it been attended to all this time? Was it something you would say there was no political will by past governments in terms of sorting this problem? Because it has overstayed, indeed.
It just shows that people were watching situations. I mean, how can you be losing so much water? Because it started as a small leak. Okay, initially it was some vibration sounds to show you that there was something happening, because apparently you may wish to know that our engineers, they carry out routine maintenance routine inspections,
right,
to check that all our networks are in a proper functioning point. So during such inspections, that's when they discovered that there was some problem there. So they kept on monitoring. It was growing until eventually it formed a stream. So it was the issue of, again, someone not being proactive to give instructions in terms of how we must move, first. But secondly, it was also the issue of people not having the capacity to look for money to fix this. So we made a decision. When my PS went on spot, Engineer Joe Kalusa, he checked, he came, he gave me a report, and then proposed that, Minister, we need your guidance. We need to go on the ground. You check, and then you direct us. So we went on the ground, and we said, no, we can't wait until we continue losing so much water. We can't wait. We need to fix this problem. But obviously, the worry was the cost, the worry was the time it was going to take. But it's better to take a month or two, fix the problem, and then the water that was being lost will end up being consumed in Lusaka. So we had to make a decision. So as to whether it was lack of a political will, well, it's for the public to judge. But I think that someone was sleeping on duty. And I'm happy that with all these changes that we've made in the various institutions under my sector, there's a lot of proactiveness, and it's one of the things that we spotted and quickly made a decision to fix.
Do you therefore anticipate a reduction on the deficit that you spoke about, all things being equal? You still mentioned that we still have a deficit in terms of supply. Would you say that you anticipate the deficit to further reduce once this problem is sorted out? Because yes, 10 million liters a day is a lot.
You see, the 10 million liters was actually at a point when I went to inspect. The time we took now the decision to shut down, that flow, that leakage had doubled actually from 10 to 20 million liters per day. So at a time we were shutting down, we were losing around 17 to 20 million liters per day. So to answer your question, yes, once this problem is fixed, we are going to get the 10, and like I said, at a point of shutdown, we were losing 20,000 cubic meters. All this water now will be pumped, transported into Lusaka, and it will be consumed in Lusaka.
Yeah. I'm concerned also on you can't blame them, but they saw a stream and decided to start farming activities around that leakage. I mean, any plans to ensure that
we need to have a post
you know what I mean,
repair.
Will you be able to give them a bit of water for the farming activity to continue around that leakage area?
We need to have some positive engagement with the
community,
neighboring communities, because I see a problem there. You have people that for 4 years or so have been depending on this leakage, and suddenly it's like one book I love so much, Who Moved My Cheese? You depend on this source for a long time, and suddenly it's dry. So I think that I want to urge our utility company, Lusaka Water, to urge them to have a process of engagement with the people that were benefiting from this, and see how we don't create another problem. Because people will still be looking for this pipe to leak so that they can benefit from the leakage. So we need to scale up security there, but also to engage our people there, so that they should know that there will be no water. By now it's a bit dry because we have shut down, so that water is not passing there. So they have already started observing. They are not benefiting from what they were tapping from. So we need to engage them.
Indeed. Let's get to sanitation issues and also dwell into your constituency, Munali constituency. The last time we had a conversation around the development in Munali, especially to do with sanitation, there were quite a lot of activities going on. Are you able to update us how we are doing in that regard?
Yes, thanks so much. Mainly on sanitation, we were working around Kaunda Square, where we are upgrading. We've done one pipe. We did cut the road at one point and replaced the 4-inch pipes, which were quite small.
Yes.
These on the far northern end of Kaunda Square. So what would happen is that all the sewer, once it's collected around Kaunda Square, particularly stage 1, there are about 3-4 points where the sewer exits the community to go and join the trunk line. This is the trunk line which was recently upgraded under the Millennium Challenge project. Now, the connection between the last manholes of Kaunda Square on the far northern end to go to the trunk lines, the pipes that were carrying the sewer there were 4-inch pipes, quite small. So most of the times when the sewer is coming from the upper stream to go to the manholes at the last point of Kaunda Square, they would end up into these small 4-inch pipes, and the pipes got overwhelmed, and then you would have blockages. Worse still, if there were solid particles that fell into the network, the moment they get to that 4-inch pipe, it was a problem. So in terms of the 4-inch pipes collecting within the community, that is not a problem. But where now you are converging at one, all this waste has been collected and is converging at this manhole to be now transported to the trunk line. Most of the times you would have these manholes getting blocked. So we had to look for money, opened those lines, removed the smaller pipes, and replaced them with slightly bigger pipes. At that point where we did that, the sewer blockages have eased up. So we want to do the same on the remaining other 4 pipes. We are still looking for resources. Once that is done, we want to do that before the rainy season. Then we were also implementing some emergency works. And I think I spoke around this project. I spoke about this project at length last time I was here.
Right.
The issue is that the design of Kaunda Square Stage 1 is that the houses were designed to use squatting toilets. That time when they were designing Kaunda Square in the 60s, 70s, they had to build each house. Before the house was built, all the houses there, they had to build the toilets. And the design was, one, the toilet was to serve two functions, one as a toilet, and secondly, the same toilet as a shower room. Then we also had the design I talked about of the squatting toilets. Now, what would happen is that when people are bathing, they'll be using these scrubbing materials, potato sacks or whatever, or a face towel, and accidentally this drops into the toilet. Then it finds itself going to block the lines. So many accidents would happen, scrubbing stones, they drop into the toilet. So each time our people went to unblock, the plumbers from Lusaka Water went to unblock, they would find all sorts of materials finding its way in the sanitation network. Now, these are solid particles that ordinarily should not be transported using the sanitation network. Secondly, during rain season, Kaunda Square is sitting at the bottom, at a lower point of that community. So all the water which is coming from up the upper area, Mtendere, Munali, Mwanawasa Hospital, all that water ends up into Kaunda Square. And because we had been using squatting toilets, which are flat, most of the water, the storm water, would end up into people's yards, into the toilets. And because of that, the storm water is not supposed to find its way in the sanitation network. Our lines would get overwhelmed. Next, it will be stormwater mixing with the sewer because there are blockages everywhere as a result of stormwater. So we made a decision that before the onset of the rainy season, we must look for money. So we pushed in money. We went to Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit, presented a case point of the various townships that had serious sanitation issues. So Kaunda Square was one of them, and we were fortunate to have been provided with around 15 million kwacha, which was pushed into Lusaka Water to replace about 3,000 toilets. This project has been going on well. It's almost done. What we are just doing now is final inspections in terms of those we might have missed for one reason or another. But otherwise, close to over 2,000 sitting toilets. The target was 3,000, but you may realize that some of the households had already on their own put the sitting toilets. So we've done more than 2,000 plus sitting toilets, and the people have really appreciated this project. What we are just encouraging the people of Kaunda Square now is that now that we've given you these sitting toilets, which we homes, so that the toilet should serve its purpose as a toilet. Then for showering, we must be using the newly provided shower room. So they must build new shower rooms. I would say that in answering the sanitation aspect of your question, also that in Mtendere, it's one area which benefited from the Millennium Challenge project.
Right.
But as you know, that project was meant to run for 4 years, after which it had to close. Now, the arrangement was in such a way that at a point of closure, at a point of 4 years, it will close whether the project has been finished 100% or not. So when you reach 4 years, you close. So whatever money remains goes back to the central treasury of the US government. Unfortunately, I think there was a delay to start because of the preparatory works, ZESCO cables, other utility cables. So I think the project lost close to about 1 year before the actual starting. So the project was implemented within just 3 years, and the money went back to the central government of the US, to the government of the US. Now, as the government of Zambia, we had to put up what we are calling Millennium Project Completion Agents. So we put in an institution which had to complete that project, and they've been working around the clock. And as we speak,
this is Zambian government funded?
This is Zambian government funded.
Right.
And that is how that project was structured, that whatever works will remain at the end of the 4 years. The receiving state of this support will have to find its own money and finish off. So working with the Ministry of Finance, working with my ministry, they have been finalizing this project. And I'm happy to say that the sanitation component has now been done. We have a pump station around the PHI, which the last time I checked, they were just waiting for ZESCO to connect power. So we are ready now, meaning that the people of Mtendere, all they need to do is to build toilets and then get connected into this sanitation thing. You see, Zach, this is a game changer. For me, as a leader of this sector, this is a game changer in many fronts. One of them is that it will help our people to avoid, outbreaks, diarrhea-related outbreaks. Because when you use pit latrines, what happens is that you have flies going to sit on the fecal matter, and they'll be in the community, and they go and sit on the food and begin to transmit germs that eventually will cause diarrhea cases. So that is one front. The other one is groundwater pollution, because these pit latrines are discharging the waste once into the ground. So can you imagine the whole community of Mtendere, from Kalingalinga going to Mtendere, using pit latrines? Can you imagine how much waste we are discharging into the water sources? And in the same community, you have people using boreholes. So meaning the boreholes are not safe. So what we are trying to do quickly is to uplift our people, move from the pit latrine dependence and get connected now, because the Millennium Challenge project has provided for the sanitation network, which was never there before. So we want to appeal to our people to begin to connect into there so that we can minimize or completely stop the discharge of waste into the groundwater source. We also mobilized the money, as we are talking about sanitation. I'll move slightly into the water supply.
Right.
Mtendere has partly benefited from the Millennium Challenge in terms of water. Mtendere East, which is under Kalikiliki Ward, has also benefited in terms of water supply from the project we launched last year, the Iolanda 2 treatment plant, which is the Kafue Bauk project. That one has helped Mtendere East to have adequate supply of water. The pressure is very good. When you go there, you open the taps, it's like they're almost wanting to burst. There's good pressure there. So we had certain areas that we spotted. I think it was Mtendere A, B, and a bit of PHI, because they are on the higher side of Mtendere. The pressure was not getting into PHI and Mtendere A and B adequately. So we had to mobilize the resources through my ministry to assist the people of Mtendere through Lusaka Water. So we had a project there recently, which I'm yet to commission, 5.1 million kwacha, pushed in there to put an additional water reservoir in Mtendere near that Katambarara market. So put a big tank there, sitting at 12 meters elevation. And with that advantage in terms of the elevation, we'll be able to have water now flowing adequately. First of all, we've improved capacity. Secondly, we've improved the pressure levels with the elevation. Ordinarily, it's supposed to be around 8-10 meters. We pushed it to 12 meters so that the higher you put your reservoir, the more pressure you create. And this water will be able to flow into Mtendere A, into Mtendere B, and PHI. And the feedback so far we are receiving is very good. One young man called me, Crispin Chipwepa, and said, "Boss, I'm even bathing now from my showers. Thank you very much for your works." And so the feedback from PHI is very good. But in case there are some areas within PHI, within Mtendere A, Mtendere B, where they're still having low pressures, please let me know. Let your WDCs know. Let your councillor know, so that we can fix these problems.
That is very encouraging to hear, because obviously that's a lot of work that has been done this far. Now, your constituency has continued to report cases of junkies, and your constituency has also, proved to be to have quite stubborn junkies that are drinking so hard. And not long ago, I was trying to connect that problem with what you unearthed, because you unearthed some illegal manufacturing of illicit beer in your constituency, not long ago. And for a moment, I thought maybe this problem now has been identified from the root itself. Just give us an update on really what transpired and where we are with that plant.
Yeah. Thank you, Zach. I've seen that that clip has gone viral. I'm getting feedback from Malawi. It's gone now beyond the borders. I get feedback from Zimbabwe. Oh, you are doing very well with this. But Zach, it was a very touching incident. So on a Thursday, a day before I went on that inspection, I was meeting the members of the clergy from various parts of Munali constituency. So we had a meeting, and these church leaders were coming from various churches. So we had a very good engagement. And through that engagement, one of the pastors raised this point and said, "Minister, we are very concerned that in Kalikiriki, there's a brewery which is making some seemingly illegal drinks." Then I said, "Which part of Kalikiriki?" So they told me, "No, around the water." I said, "I come to Kalikiriki to watch football." He says, "Just there at this point." I said, "Okay, at 8:30 tomorrow, I'll be your visitor." So true to my promise, at 8:30 on Friday, I drove to that place. So first I called the councillor, the area councillor there. For some time he wasn't picking my call. I think he had left the phone. Then I called one of the young men I know there. He responded quickly. I said, "No, let's go." So we were the three of us, my driver, this young man, we call him Sweet Bull, Shimunenge from Kalikiriki, and myself. So we went to that point. We opened the gate, and he found this guy, a foreign national, busy producing illicit beer. Now, what caught my attention, first of all, and what made me very sad, is first of all, the level of filthiness. The place was dirty. The pots which they were using to cook, to boil the ginger. Secondly, it was the ingredients being put into this concoction. There was yeast, different powders, ginger itself, industrial sugar. But what was extremely shocking, extremely annoying, extremely painful was that this guy did not even have any measuring apparatus to show you how much yeast, how much, what component is putting. It was just all guesswork, boiling those things, some dirty cooking sticks. but also the bottles. The same bottles, the branded bottles that they would package this drink in, goes into the community. People drink, throw them, then they go into all sorts of bins or dumping sites to collect these same bottles, take them there. And this is a guy who doesn't even have proper running water to clean these bottles. So can you imagine, other than the intoxication as a result of all these improperly measured, concoctions, but also the level of dirty. Someone drinks using this bottle, throws it, you pick it, you don't even clean it properly. I mean, when you look at the Coca-Cola bottles, the mossy bottles, they have to go through a proper, cleaning channel. But these are plastic bottles, not properly cleaned. In the place, there was no proper running water. So how was he cleaning these bottles? So it was the same dirty bottles being recycled and out to our community. But the most painful thing also is that this brewery had not been there for 1 day, for 2 days, for 1 week, for 1 month. It has been there for years. It has been there for years. Where are the community members to report? Where have we taken our levels of vigilance? I expect that, if I didn't meet the church leaders on that Thursday, that brewery would have still been there killing our children. And the people are passing there. This is a public place at a football ground. People are passing there. Then when you open the gate and the time I just entered there, we were hit with, this smell and what. Just being there, you start feeling drunk. And I'm asking this guy, he was busy making phone calls and being arrogant. Not any documentation. You saw in that clip, he was arguing with me, no, sir, Zabs came here. Then I said, give us the documents to show that, Zabs, when you are running a business, even when I walk into this studio, you find all sorts of documentation to show that you are registered with PACRA, your tax compliance, NAPSA, nothing, not even a presidential portrait. And the guy was running a business for years. So I called the police, I called Lusaka City Council officials, they came through, checked the place, and within 30 minutes, they phoned me and said, no, sir, everything about this place is wrong. First of all, this is a residential place. How do you have an industry like this? Who permitted him? No single document. The issue here is that our people must be vigilant and must be reporting these issues. These problems are not about the member of parliament, about the councillor. It's our people. It's our children. Someone's child being given that illicit beer and is being destroyed. That guy, I told him, I'm sorry, I had to do that. I said, look, you're an adult and you're killing our children with this. Do you drink this stuff yourself? He says, yes, I drink. I asked the workers, they said, we don't drink it. So I said, okay, you drink. Yes, it's okay. Okay, drink it. He was struggling to finish that small bottle himself. He was just sipping there, but he's killing other people's children. That is unacceptable. So we have shut that thing down, and we've given instructions that immigration must check his credentials, and any foreigner who comes in this country and gets involved in illegality, they must leave the country. It's not correct that they must be killing our people. We want investment, but not the investment that will come and kill our people, our citizens. That is not correct.
Have you received any report from immigration and all that you asked for? Just to tell whether...
We are talking, and investigations are going on, and there's so many things that are being checked. It's safer to leave it at that point so that we don't jeopardize investigations.
Fair enough. Let's then move to an issue that happened recently. This happened in your constituency, and this is basically the riots that we saw at the highest institution of learning, that is the University of Zambia. The public really doesn't have much information of what could have transpired, but we believe as a member of parliament, you're probably on the ground and you know what's transpired and where we are with this issue.
Thank you, Zach. I want to say that the past 2 weeks has been quite bad. So before I answer the riots, there's something that happened again, very, very sad. we woke up to a very rude shock one morning about 2 weeks ago, on Tuesday morning, where we got news that there was an accident which resulted into the loss of lives. 4 lives were lost at a go. Someone who was overspeeding around the Ibex area lost control, hit into the pavement, the drainage, flipped and went and killed 4 people at a go. 3 of the 4 were actually kids, school-going children, going to school. Children innocently wake up, prepare to go to school, and got killed by a drunkard at 6:30 in the morning. Zach, 2 of the 3 kids whom we put to rest on Saturday, 2 of 3 were coming from one home as cousins. The 3rd one was coming from Mtendere East. They were twins. At a point, this young man was meeting his death. The twin brother was there. The other 2, the young sister was there. So you can imagine how painful this is. Now, this calls for reforms in the laws, and obviously this responsibility is on our shoulders. I think we can't continue. I think, as speaking as Member of Parliament, we can't continue having motorists that have no respect for pedestrians on the road. We can't continue having people getting drunk the whole night, and at 6 you go and kill school children. Then you are taken to court to just go and plead guilt, and you pay money there, you walk scot-free. I think that is not correct. That is not correct.
Are you going to do something about it in terms of wanting to push?
I'm saying this because, again, you know that we lost a Member of Parliament for Kabwata in a very unexplained circumstance like that. The matter goes to court, someone goes to plead the guilt, and they pay the fine, they go, because that's what the law says now. So I think this particular law is a cake, and we need to face the reality. If it's a genuine traffic offense, someone has committed an offense as a result of a mechanical fault or something, it will be understood. They must go to court and show that for sure there was a mechanical fault, it was beyond their control, and it was an accident. But someone being drunk at 6:30, you are driving in a residential area at an excessive speed, you kill people like that, I don't call that an accident. And it's high time that we worked on reforming these laws, and the people that are causing the deaths of innocent pedestrians as a result of recklessness, they must go to prison. So it was a very touching thing. We put the 3 innocent souls to rest on a Saturday, and we are grateful to the 2 families. We are also grateful to Life Legacy School, where the 3 were going to. They came in, assisted. We worked together, and they put the young lads to rest. Very, very incident. I don't want to call it an accident. Now we go back to Yunza, another very regrettable, situation there. The university students were due to have elections, and at the university elections,
right,
for the student leadership, and opposition political parties, non-opposition political parties went in, as usual, to try and play their dirty politics, put up their sponsored candidates, and in the process, doubt that management was trying to secure funds for this election. So some communication breakdown arose within the ranks of management in terms of the electoral body, which was going to manage the elections, and the other wing of management, which was tasked to secure funds. So the funds were secured, and the other wing, the electoral body, announced that the elections will not go on because of lack of finances, without checking with the other people. So when that happened, the same political parties, opposition political parties that were sponsoring their candidates there, decided to give instructions that you go and riot, go to the roadside. So ignited that confusion. A very, very sad incident. The extent of the damage is huge, extremely huge. So I'll stop there. I don't want to go into details, obviously, because these are matters that will end up going to court. But just to encourage the police that we want them to move very quickly. And anybody who is going to be caught up in this, they must go and face their day in court. I think that we want to provide the democratic latitude platform, but not at the expense of people breaking the law with impunity. That will not accept.
Well, you are listening to the Tuesday edition of The Burning Issue. My guest is Honorable Mponsha, who is Munali Member of Parliament and Minister of Water Development and Sanitation. We will be inviting you, our listeners, now to call in on 0955 221515 and send us your messages to 0761 912493. That's 0761 912493. That's strictly for your messages. For your phone calls, again, the number is 0955 221515. Like we said, our guest is Honorable Mponsha, who is a Member of Parliament for Munali constituency, and he is Minister of Water Development and Sanitation. We are also live, remember, on our partner radio stations, and that's Wave FM in Mazabuka, covering Southern Province. We are also live on Spice FM in Kabwe, covering Central Province, and Tuta FM radio in Mansa. So we'll take your calls. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
How are you
today? Good morning, Honorable.
Good morning, my brother.
Good morning. Good morning, Zach.
Good morning, thank you. Your name and where are you calling us from, sir?
This is Mr. Miti Charles.
Mr. Miti.
I'm calling from Matero North.
Great, Mr. Miti Charles. Please go ahead, sir.
Yes. Well explained, Honorable, and we appreciate. But one thing that I would love you to do is if you can take a walk around or a visit around some of these townships, like here in Matoro North. The time before the project was launched, we used to receive water twice in a week or 3 times in a week. But from the time when this project was launched, we are not receiving any water. And you can imagine we are on a higher ground, behind the Hero Stadium. We are on a higher ground. And right now, as I'm talking, we have stayed 8 days without water. And most of the people, we use the flush toilets. So, and this is the, hot season. All I'm trying to appeal to the government through you is that please see how best you can help, areas like this, because this hot season, very soon, we might be experiencing cholera. So my appeal is that try to see how best you can help people like us who are in such areas, because we are not receiving any water. That 3 hours you are talking, that 3 hours they planned for. For us, it's not even working for us. Completely no water from the tanks. So please, Minister, I know you are a hard-working minister. Do something before cholera breaks out. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Miti Charles there. Very important question, and we take note of that. 0955 221515 is the number you're calling us on. Let's take another one. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Jack.
I'm fine, thank you. How are you today?
Fine. Good morning, Honorable.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Mule, calling you in United States.
Your name again?
I'm Mule.
Mule.
Yes.
Please go ahead.
Honorable, I just want to find out from you. When are you going to done the district road? The one, the Kamanga Road, the Kumuni Road, the Kamanga one. Last time when you were in radio, you told us that by July, the contract will be on site. And I take note of now July has passed to this September. So, and I'm seeing the rain season is coming and the last road. I can say just the postcode. Maybe you can just do the postcode. We can appreciate that. And we are really thankful for the police force that we are building along the same road. That will help us to do away with these junkies in Kamanga. Because this suffer from these junkies. And the second, so your first question is that how much have you received for the CDA for this year? How much have you received? And for the cooperative, or how much have you distributed in the world? How many people have benefited in this loan under the CDA? Because at the moment we can't see the money in our society. So we are even wondering if the 28 million is really in our constituents or what? Or you are giving contractors in other constituencies, because we need to know how much each ward has received, how many people have received in this ward, Chakonkola, Tendere, what. So if you have that information, you can try to share with us. I thank you, Honorable.
Thank you very much, Mule, for that question. Let me give you one more on 0955221515. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Morning. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
I'm calling from Lusaka. My name is Chileshe.
Chileshe, thank you for coming. Please go ahead, Chileshe.
Thank you. Good morning, Honorable.
Good morning, Chileshe. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Thank you that we have our MP on radio. I know you are there as a minister, that you take advantage of you being there as an MP for Munali. I'm a resident of PHI, and I think for so long we must say that we have not seen any benefits that has come to our area. One of the issues, we've had a number of accidents in our area because of the inflow, people using PHI as a getaway from Great East Road into other parts of Lusaka, towards Woodlands and Kablonga. So my question is, the first one is, what are you doing on the Mtendere Road from the market? I think from PHI into Mtendere through up to Kablonga, the road is terrible. And the rain season is almost here. The road has not been done. I know there is a bypass road behind the market that leads to a clinic. That one was recently I think done just a bit, but it's not that good. So when are you working on that road? And secondly, how can we draw benefits as residents of PHI? Because most of the times we see that MPs and ministers, either during this period or in the previous administration, their focus is only maybe looking at these high density areas. When you look at our areas, we've got needs also, and we're not attended to. How can we see you? We don't see our councillor in the area calling for meetings or anything else. So how can we see you, and so that we can also be able to tap into the benefits from what is happening? Thank you.
Do you have his number there?
Not really, but you can send me a message on the same number, just so that I can have your number.
I can send him my number, yeah. Okay, so Zach, allow me to pick these questions. I'll start with Mr. Chileshe's one. I hear you, my brother. I think it's true that most of the times the concentration, I think, tends more to be in the peri-urban of highly dense, populated areas. But we must understand, in there, PHI is under Mtendere ward. So obviously, like he has said in the past and even now, the concentration mainly is to try and resolve the problems in Mtendere, in Kalikiriki. Then you tend to leave out PHI.
Because obviously PHI, it's got roads.
No, but they have needs, and I hear you. He has made his case very well. But I want to assure him, for example, we saw that there are problems of water in PHI. They were not receiving adequate supply of water.
Okay.
And I spoke about what we have done. We put in 5.1 million to receive more water for PHI. And as we speak, I want to get this feedback from Mr. Chileshe. If him as a borehole, maybe from the neighbors, in terms of how this has impacted on PHI. So
right.
We are not leaving anyone behind. So, for example, we've dealt with the issue of water there. I hope that they are benefiting. But secondly, talking about the issue of roads is also very right. The roads around PHI are quite bad, from the hybrid roundabout all the way through PHI, going to Mtendere Market, Katambarara Market there. My brother, I've been on this issue, and I'm going to combine Mr. Chileshe's question and Mule's question from Kamanga. One of the roads, the third roads that are in, some of the roads that are in a very bad state is one which Mule talked about, the district road. Then hybrid road. It's called the Chongwe Road, but popularly known as Hybrid Road.
Right.
Then we have the roads that my brother, Mr. Chileshe, has highlighted. So we've been having conversations with RDA on the bad state of these roads. Now, these are roads where we can't apply CDF because these are third roads, and we need the central government through RDA to help us. RDA had already inspected these roads and marked them for, to put them on the schedule for repairs. It's just an issue of resources. They don't have resources to undertake these works. Initially, they had put a performance contractor during rain season to just make good around the potholes near Kapuriomba. But that's the time it started raining very heavily in the 2022 to 2023 rain season. So they couldn't do much. But now we are in the dry season. We've been pushing. It's just the issue of resources. I can tell you that as late as last week, as late as yesterday, when I was having a cabinet meeting, I was engaging the Minister of Infrastructure, who, Mr. Honorable Milupi, who has asked that we should find some opening, some window to go on the ground. So the Minister of Infrastructure wants to come on the ground to appreciate the extent of damage on the district road. Now, this road, the district road, is meant for heavy-duty vehicles. It's a divergent road. It's a diversion where the traffic which is coming from the east and it's northbound, they don't have to pass through the middle of town to connect to the copper belt. So they branch off using that district road to get into Ngwerere Road, and off they go onto the copper belt. And because of the heavy loads, heavy traffic, big trucks passing there, this has resulted into the road getting damaged. Similarly, the PHI, there's heavy traffic to try and avoid going through Greatest Road all the way. Most of the people, they use that as a shorter route to connect into Kabulonga. And this has obviously worsened the road. So, Brother Chileshe, Mr. Mule, I want to assure you that I'm doing all I can as your Member of Parliament to push RDA and beyond RDA to push the Minister of Infrastructure to see how we can be helped. And I'm hoping that they can find some money somewhere to come and just make the roads more terrible. But unfortunately, I'll be offloading more traffic through PHI because other CDA working on some of the roads, connecting PHI into Mtendere through Mahatma Gandhi Road. So Mahatma Gandhi School, we are working on. You also asked when you connected to that issue of the brewery, you were talking about the junkies, the one place where we have a lot of young people abusing drugs and alcohol around Zambif. So what we have done is Zambif it has now become, because it's not motor, and it has become a hideout where these young people sit there smoking and really inconveniencing the people who live near there. The consolation is that we have put in money under the 2023 to open that road from the Zambif point, from the bus stop road at Old Zambif, all the way to an area called Maiseni to come and drop into the Mahatma Gandhi Road. At the same time, we'll be doing the Mahatma Gandhi Road. We'll be working on Mahatma Gandhi Road from the bus stop road all the way through Mahatma Gandhi School to go and connect to, so that we can reduce the traffic that has to pass through the market. They'll have another route to connect into Greatest Road through PHI. But we are going to push RDA to make sure that the potholes that have emerged around the PHI roads are worked on. So I'm grateful, Brother Chileshe. You could send a text and then I'll pick your number so that, again, what is in your low density areas is that let's have these engagements with your community leaders. We just need to scale up the proactiveness, levels, so that even as a community there, they can call for a meeting, find a venue there. I come there, we have a meeting there on the challenges. I think that I'm a member of parliament who should cater for all localities, both the high and the low density areas, so that I can attend to their problems. Mule, thank you. The issue of the police post, yes, we put in money under CDF 2022 funding to build the police post in Kamanga. And the police post is nearing completion. And I think that this will help us to sort out the security concerns of Kamanga area. CDF distribution, yes, we distributed the 2022 CDF. We distributed the grants. I might not have the figures with me readily available. But again, Mule, you can send us a text. I would want to call you, and then we can have this engagement and we give you all the necessary information. So we've given out grants, we've given out loans for 2022, we've given out school bursaries that has been distributed. What delayed were the component of the loans, because we needed to clear the issues of guidelines with the bank. We also needed the banks to be selected. So for Munali, we chose Zambia National Commercial Bank, and we're working with them in the disbursement of grants, disbursement of loans. So please take advantage, again, in the various communities, take advantage of your WDCs, take advantage of your councillors, but also your member of parliament, to ensure that no one is left behind in terms of taking part on these things.
Mr. Miti?
Mr. Miti Matero, thank you very much. I've taken note of your concerns. Really, it's unacceptable that we must have so many hours without water. If he could, please send us a text so that I'll personally call him, but I'll also ask Lusaka water officials to call him so that we see where the problem is, whether really this is as a result of the shutdown. But even the shutdown, we did not agree that people must go beyond 6 hours without water. I indicated here that if this is as a result of the shutdown, the repairs that we are undertaking in Kafue, on average, people will lose supply for 4 to 6 hours, not beyond 6 hours.
Let me give you a few other messages. Good morning, Honorable. This one is from Temwani Nyondo from Avondale. He's brought in 2 concerns. Let's hear them. What are the plans for adequate resource allocation within Avondale, Chainda, and Salama Park to empower the police and mitigate the skyrocketing crime rates? Secondly, the current water sanitation is unbearable, even for the 60 days maintenance. We are having too little water to even be able to store in a bath, okay, rather for a bath. Meanwhile, our water bills keep coming. So that is Temwani Nyondo from Avondale. I would like to give you another one. morning, sir. As minister, when are you planning to connect Ballaston to Chunga sewage line? This is Sims from within Lusaka. I've got another one. This one obviously concerns you as member of parliament, as an individual, as a businessman. There has been complaints in your area about the noise and inconvenience coming from your business, and it was all over social media. As a lawmaker, does this concern you? So let's respond to those three messages, and then we'll take some phone calls after that.
All right. Sims in Chunga, he says, when do we connect Ballaston to the sewer ponds? I will have to check with my technical people in the utility company to appreciate this concern. And if again, Sims can send you a text. Oh, he has, you have a number, isn't it? That was a text message.
Yes.
So we'll pick your number and pass it on to Lusaka Water so that they can call you. And then you can, get feedback from them. Then Temani Nyondo, the high crime levels in Avonde, what are the plans to allocate adequate resources? Temani, the population is growing. And Zach, you know that not too long ago, Zambia, we were operating with a population of 10 million. Then we started talking about 12 million. But as we speak now, we are talking about 19.6, 19.4 to 20 million people in Zambia. So obviously, we need to scale up the provision of services. It requires a lot of money. This is why some of the issues, like issues to build police posts, health centers, and whatnot, that's why the government decided to push up the CDF allocation from 1.6 to where we are now, 28.3. But also to ensure timely disbursement of CDF. What would be helpful is Temani Nyondo and the community there in Avondale to call for community meetings in terms of what interventions you think that will sustain the high levels of, will control the high levels or reduce the high levels of crime. We need to put measures that will sustain security measures or scale up security measures around Avondale. And other areas. So they need to call up for meetings. We know that on our part, what we have done is that under CDF, we are buying, remember that we bought the Land Cruisers for monitoring purposes of projects. We have gone further to also say that we must buy one ambulance per constituency out of the money, and that will be done centrally. Then we are going further to buy one vehicle to assist with the police patrols. But I think we need to do more. Munali constituency is very big. So we need to, Riez will be pushing with Ministry of Home Affairs. We know they are also overwhelmed to see how we can get patrol vehicles to assist areas like Avondale. But in the meantime, I think we'll put short-term measures. I'll be speaking with the police, but these are measures that we cannot begin to announce here. Otherwise, we'll be arming also the people that are interested in these criminal activities. What was the other question? Okay, 60 days is too long a period.
Right.
Temani, what we requested was the 60 days we requested for the shutdown is merely the extreme time frame, worst case scenario. Remember when I started this conversation, I said, this is a pipe which at that point where we had the leakage, it was cast in concrete. So at a point that we were even talking about the shutdown, we had not opened that pipe to really ascertain what the problem is. But as we speak now, from day one of the shutdown, we managed to open that concrete. We have ascertained the corrosion. The problem that is there was the corrosion around the coupling. And as we are speaking now, a lot of progress has been made. So the the consolation I want to give Temwane and the people of Lusaka is that we might not reach the 60 days. I'm going on the ground tomorrow to commission some works in Kafue, and I'm also going now on the spot. But every day I'm receiving reports, and the indication we have is that we are going to finish these works way ahead of the time that we requested, the 60 days. But you must know that we still need around 20-21 days for the concrete to fully cure. If we start pumping before the concrete fully cures, we might end up losing all the works that we'll have put in place. So in terms of what we might need is about 20-20 cure, but we are not going to go to 60 days. In terms of the bills, you must understand that we have others who are on the fixed and others who are on metered. So those who are on metered, at a time when supplying water, there's no bill there that should really accumulate. But those who are on fixed, if we have water 24 hours, you benefit. When we don't have water being supplied because you're on a fixed billing system, it means the bill is constant. So fortunate is what it is. So it's up to the customer, but also depending on the area. We are now promoting that we need to 100% metering so that the people can only pay based on their consumption. So the bill will only go up if you are having supplies throughout. If there's no supply, unless the meter is 40, you can report it. But Temwane, we are not going to hit the 60 days indicated.
Right. So we'll take some more calls. I think there's still one more message that concerned your the noise.
My business.
Yes,
the most important one.
Yes.
Zach, I've been a businessman for a very long time. I've been in the entertainment industry for 13, 14 years. Now, it's strange that, yes, as a lawmaker, we make the laws and we also must respect these laws. But again, the people must not be malicious in the accusations. I have a right to defend my businesses. I will not go into the business of inconveniencing people. But what we must understand, who is that one? Is it Sims? Oh, no, it wasn't Sims. Who is that
we
one?
didn't get a name on this one,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
So you see, one of the people who raised this issue, and you can see the malice around it. One of the guys who raised this issue is a person I was with in secondary school, a colleague of mine for many years. And I will not go into the details in terms of what he was up to, okay? I think I'll leave it at that. But the other ones were my political competitors. The other ones who are raising these issues are my business competitors. How possible is it, Zach, that in an area where you have more than 15 businesses doing the one which is causing this and that, you go in that area right now, Stariro, go and see the nonsense that is happening there. And because someone has powerful friends and relatives and from council people, and to divert the attention, now I can tell you, you go to Lukundo, I'll name them. You go to Lukundo, look at the illegality. And this is where Zambians, we must not be petty. Foreigners come and do a lot of things. The moment it's your own relative, your own warlord, because it's a minister, let's go on him, he must close the business. That level of, I want to appreciate genuine concerns, but the level of pettiness. If you go to Lukundo, I can tell you that there was an operation there where this foreign national was selling expired beer, and I'll say it here on radio. And this is information that has officially been given to me. Council officers go there, clamp. This guy has connections. He pushes other people to return expired beer, which the council had clamped down on. That Lukundo place is opening in an open place. For many years, we've talked, who is splashing money to different people, it is okay. You know, this mentality must change. This mentality must be us, whether it's a minister, it's a foreign national, it's who. We must abide by the rules. Now, there's no hospitality, there's no law in this country which urges hospitality places to push in the forest. How many clubs are in that area, in that Kaunda Square? There's cockpit in the middle of houses. It's operating. So I'm not justifying that people must be inconvenienced. You go to Avondale now, in the night, Zach, I'm ready to sponsor a round trip for you to prove the malice that people have. I'm ready, even over this weekend, to sponsor a group of reporters that we take a drive. You go and park in Avondale. When you are parked at Avondale, pick the noise that is coming from upstreams, from that Twin Park Mall, the noise that is coming from there, polluting the whole Avondale. Now, what we are saying is that it's not only the Munali one. I can confirm that, you know that I've been running Paddy Blues for 10 years. I run Munali one, which is a limited company. I only have shares in there. So this is a business place which has its own character. It has its own legal issues. So don't bring in my character and say, no, as a lawmaker, as a minister, and blah, blah, blah. The issue here is to advocate for holistic enforcement of the bylaws, where in Matero, what is happening in Matero, in Kawata, everywhere. On that road, Zach, you even have a car wash, 2 of them. What is the purpose of a car wash? Is it to sell beer? So these people decided to neglect the fact that there's a car wash here which has even turned itself into a bar. They're even playing music in an open place. So the music that is coming from the car park is not affecting them. The music that is coming from all these other clubs is not affecting them. What is affecting them is one which is owned by the minister. So the moment you take a path like that, you lose the fight. You lose the fight. So don't personalize issues. You must actually come to me and learn how to do business. Otherwise, if you continue on that path of being petty and wanting to close down businesses because this one is a politician, you'll be doing that for years. You'll be planning, scheming to bring people down. They will not come down. It's you who will be going down. The issue is to say, truly, if people are being inconvenienced, let's minimize the inconvenience. I think I'll be ready. The guy that brought movie, TV, and the other people there, Nicholas Chiu, I find it that a colleague of mine who is just being very petty, I would have gone further to expose the intention behind this, but I'll not go into his petty fight. He called me and said, there's this issue. I said, can you call for a meeting with the community so that we have a genuine engagement? He doesn't come back. He goes and brings the media people and make all sorts of allegations. Is that how you resolve the issue? I told them, call for a meeting so that we engage each other and say, where is the noise coming from? What can we do to minimize the inconvenience? I think that engagement would have helped us. But I'm ready. I remain open to have a positive engagement so that in all areas, I'm not happy with what is happening at Stariro. Someone has a retail, and this is where Zambians, let's be holistic in our approach. How can someone just have a retail license to sell takeaway drinks, and then you have thousands of people, no toilets? There's even a church there, and the law is very clear, the bylaw. You can't put up a drinking place where there's a church. There's a Don Gordon school there. Go and see. So all this inconvenience that is happening in the other places, the people that are complaining about this, my business place, are not seeing the other side. So you can see that this is a sponsored campaign by those that don't want to be corrected. They want to divert their attention. If you go to that club they are complaining about, both Paddy Blues and Munali one, you will not find people selling alcohol outside. It's an entertainment place where people sit inside. So there's no violation of the law. In terms of the noise, all that measures have been put in place from the word go to say, let's reduce the inconvenience. But Zach, you must understand that whenever there's a new place that has opened, be it a university, here we are just targeting, we are talking about the drinking place. I have a property myself in mass media. When I built that property, a few years later, universities came up. When you knock off from work at 16, 17 hours, you can't access your house because there are all these postgraduate students rushing for classes. Some of them are not talking about a drinking place. We're talking about a university. Are we going to say because I was the first one to be mass media in that area, therefore UNILAS must close, Cavendish must close, UNICAF, all these universities must close? So we must understand and we must be ready for new developments. Whenever I live in the Waterfalls area near Silver Rest. UNILAS has opened there, very beautiful investment. But I can tell you, check the traffic that is there. It's difficult to pass there. Are we going to say we must close the university because it has brought too much traffic? So let's think outside the box and say, any development that is going to come in your area, Zach, it might not necessarily be a drinking place, it might be a university, it might be a church. It will bring some slowness in terms of traffic. It will bring some of inconvenience. The issue is how do we manage the levels of inconvenience?
Indeed. So we'll take some more phone calls on 0955-221515. As for your messages, please send them to 0761-912493.
And you should be interviewing me. Have you been to Munali one?
No, I haven't been.
You need to find time. You need to find time.
It came late in my life. It came late.
You know where the pressure is coming. When you visit the place, you know where the pressure is coming from, sir. Yeah.
But let's take phone calls on 0955-221515. Remember, your messages can come through via WhatsApp or indeed ordinary SMSs to 0761912493. Let's take this call. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, Refine FM.
Yes, indeed. Welcome to the program.
Yes, Honorable, good morning.
Good morning. I didn't pick your name. Did you give us your name?
This is Kapomba.
Kapumba, where are you calling us from?
Okay, thank you.
I'm calling you within Lusaka.
Great. Please.
Yes, we've heard what you've told us on the radio. In my case, my complaint, Honorable, it's about the leakage. I know you have traveled with Ntwale to Kafue to go and mend that big leakages which were used to take place there. I've reported one. Now it's like in water and sweat, they are not following it. Just by the show ground, Honorable, there. The show ground, the Great East Road entrance. There's a leakage which has been there, Honorable. Now it's more than 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. The water is coming out like nobody's business. There are a lot of liters. Please follow it up. And lastly, if you can give us your number, I would like to talk one or two things out of air thereafter. Thank you very much for listening.
I'll ask Zach to send you my number, Mr. Kapumba.
Oh, okay, it's gone. But okay. Yeah, you can, the same number that you called us on, please just drop us a text of your number. We will take note of it. So let me take some more calls. Good morning.
Hello?
Hello, good morning. Welcome to the Burning Issue. Your name and where are you calling us from?
Banana.
Kabanana, your name is?
Chidwa.
Chidwa from Kabanana.
Yeah.
Please go ahead, sir.
Banana.
Kabanana, your name is?
Chidwa.
Chidwa from Kabanana.
Yeah.
Please go ahead, sir.
Okay. Malishani the honorable.
Mkwaye bachira mulishana.
Honorable.
Manje kulichirwa anakamba chibemba waisimuka chitundu chatu.
Isikati labda tunakupa kidogo kwa kidogo.
Ndimwe machona imwe. All right.
Ndi machona. You honorable.
Yes.
Yes. Problem kuno fwe. Ni kabalo di mapa. Kusaji ku banana kunjanji kusaji ku. Yesu kulipa hapa. Yesu kulipa hapa Tanzania Basic School. Barimba drainage. Kupeleka ku força populo wino. Mataba papta pulo wino. Mataba papta mosi 2 months abari pressure.
Okay.
Problem ndala kwa takoni infuranga yambo kuruka. Abama bale ngira mkumbo ni mubale ngira baba kwanishe. So tisize baona de block ni kuno ba twista kafuswa na bakansera bakuro shiye ngateziko ni shishize. So mtushishe mwaona de tapata.
All right.
Okay, Natasha. Chilwa, for that concern. Let me take one more. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning, Zach.
Morning. Thank you. Welcome to the program. Your name and where are you calling us from?
Thank you so much. You're speaking to prominent Noah from Raport Rusaka here, Zach.
Noah, please go ahead.
Mike Mponsha, Honorable Mrishani.
Yeah, Mkwaiva Noah.
Awe, amadwere yaratipa Mike Mponsha kuno omulandu wako batabe nshitature kwata. I 60 days mwatwebere karo kwa vulame shinga mari tubikira kwa manager zako ebato. Inshita yasona ngo 18 hours. Parenga bakomboka abantu mwakwata kwa kwati mwakula kwato kwa kutapa menshi. Mwamone. Bana mayo barafai kwa kusamba sana. Inene mo ameutina ikala 2-3 days no samba. But a normal human being can't live to go that way yetu aranda. Yetu aranda nishini crisis ni shurima sales. Sasa turenda po ipo ona bacha kwa retention po pamenshi mutupere kwa majors za kwa twakura yatapa msango shameshi yo mure sta maintain pipe yo mure sta maintain. Maintenance tatrekana yero mure chana pabu mbo abantu before we can have a breakout of cholera. Bino sta turimo flash ama toilet turestana nikana kuri kusamba no kunwa mamone. So nomba pa
Vano. Ili tabala isala for repairs. Amenshi yale isa shani ukumuli yali febwino, supply yali febwino?
Yale isa wani, uluchero.
So hapa nomba tale isa uluchero?
Hapa nix.
Mpere namba yenu ndemba papene. What's your number?
Namba narapera bazaki teti mpunde pamwera honorable.
Okay, mupere bazaki so that ndefu abalusaka wota bamitumine because that is unacceptable. Tatwala ndile ukwebata abantu bekwata menshi completely. We just reduced the hours. So that is the feedback that we need so that we can work on that.
Yeah. So in conclusion, honorable, narapera namba bazaki narabarembera text.
Okay.
Eso turera ndapo chimbicha kwebati honorable. Wafurisheni kwa kweba ntunga tuwaliro kweba the cost of living. Mwilando kweba turepange chongo yo. Notion yo mukwete nombaba MP. Mulete kwa tinga tuwalire isaro kwa tia obunga wadula. Uro wa system atuwebeleza turebumona. Mwilando kweba making noise. Natuwalando kweba our president patiwali turaide kwa tuwaka tupera fertilizer ya 250 we are insulting the president. Nomba imwe, mwewa tuwa zikire pachifuro, turemi tera taxpayers money.
Vano, tutuwala kuma politics yota atuafwe, but I will indicate, tapale pondandire kwa timule pange chongo. Stick to what I'm discussing here.
No,
I think let's stick to what
I will answer.
Thank you very much for coming. So I've gotten the numbers of those that
yes.
Have sent in the messages. But quickly, let's respond to those that have come through
yes.
so far. Yeah,
very good. I will start with Noah.
And maybe let me quickly give you one more message.
Yes.
Because this one is very important. So there are two. I'll give you two quick ones. Good morning, Zach. My question to the minister is the road from Vera Chiruba School, I think, to Watchtower. You don't talk about it, and I think he wants to know what the status is as far as that development on that road. Morning, Minister. That congestion that Mtendere Zambi is due to buses parking along the roads. So, meaning that the solution is stopping those buses from parking along the road. Otherwise, this problem will persist. This is a Lusaka resident who didn't give us the name, but I'm sure you understand the point that he's talking about.
Yes,
please.
I'll start with him, actually.
Right.
The road from Vera Chiruba School, that is around Helen Kaunda going into Mtendere, all that road, so from Kobil through Vera Chiruba, going all the way up to the bus station in Mtendere into PHI, is all connected. So when I talk about the road through Mtendere Market going into Kablonga, I'm actually also connecting the other one, the Vera Chiruba one, and the one which goes through Kabmos and coming this side. So they're all interconnected. So when we bring in the Minister of Infrastructure, we are starting actually from Kobil to take him around all that stretch, so that, and we'll be with RDA so that we can see where what can be done and where money can come from to quickly patch up that road, because indeed it's in a very bad state. But we need also to control the the car washes around that place, Verachirwa. That's what is contributing to damaging the road at that point. But we need to carry it and pick it. The Marapodi Noah, the issue of midi meal. This is our staple food. And no one takes pleasure to see the cost of midi meal going up. But you must understand that here is the issues of the rule of demand and supply. If you don't have enough maize, if you don't have enough maize to go around, maize is being smuggled to go into Congo, to go into other neighboring countries, Malawi, and so forth. Secondly, the people that are producing the maize, the farmers, this shortage is historical. Let's be sincere. No one is saying but it's also the noise that is being made by people who know very well where this problem came from. How paid for one bag of maize before we increased it to 200 kwacha? It was very little, very, very low. So what happened in the long term? This problem is, you can track it back to about 5-6 years ago. Because when people realized the two things, one, that they were being paid, they were being given a raw deal, pay 50 kg bag of maize. Secondly, when they take their maize to FRA, it was taking almost 2 years to be paid. Then they decided, let's reduce only planting maize. They started planting soybeans. They started planting sunflower because that would be quickly sold and you get your money. Are you getting the point? So it happened a year, 2 years, 3 years. Collectively, we have now started feeling the pressure in terms of the reduction of maize being produced. I was in Serenge recently. This ministry takes me to the corners of the country. And when we go there, we are not looking at just water and sanitation issues. We are looking at things across the various sectors, including agriculture, including health. When you see the amount of reduction in the production of maize, in the planting of maize by farmers, it's huge. So because of that, it has created a shortfall. The millers are not getting enough maize. And in the process, what happens, because the demand is high for both the maize and the midi meal, it goes without saying that the price also goes up. So the people that are talking and wanting to blame government for this are the same problem, the same people that put us in this problem. Now, what have we done as a new government? One, we've increased the price at which a farmer will sell the bag of maize to FRI. Secondly, we've ensured that FRI is given enough money to buy almost on the spot at a very reasonably acceptable price. Now, you see the multiplier effect of this decision. Give us the next few months as we go this side. The issues of fertilizer. The issues of fertilizer. Zach, how can you have a supplier who for 2-3 seasons is being given a contract to supply fertilizer and they are not supplying this fertilizer? 2-3 seasons, a company is being given to supply fertilizer, they are not supplying fertilizer. They come back the following year, they are the favorite. How can a company that fails to fail to supply fertilizer be the favorite company to supply in the 3rd, 4th year? There's a scandal there. So aren't you surprised that now you have people that were politically exposed having $400,000 in a home of a niece? These are powerful people with very secure homes. They decided to keep $400,000 in a house of a niece whose house is less secure. And you're surprised that a young lady is found with millions of kwacha, thousands of dollars in her home. And you're surprised. This is what was happening. So many scandals in the supply of medicine, supply of fertilizer. This is the money they were sharing. And the people who 10 years ago were just, I'm sorry to use this word, paupers who didn't have any money, who didn't have any track, a business you can track. Their children were in exile, doing cheaper jobs. Then they come back and become rich. Homes in Kalundu and what, where was the money coming from? And when such people are arrested, they'll say, no, Mulelanda, don't drag us into petty politics, but let's deal with the real issues. If the money that was being put into supplying fertilizer, they were giving correct fertilizer deals, and fertilizer was being supplied, put money. The money is the $400,000. This is just one case. But if all this money was being put into giving FRA to put a correct price and buy and pay people in good time, the past 5 years, people would have been planting more maize. All this problem would have not been there. This problem lies squarely on the shoulders of PF. They mismanaged this country, mismanaged everything. And we must never, Zach, I'm talking here as a current leader in this government, we must never go into those levels where people get involved into criminalities, deals of fertilizer, and stashing thousands of dollars in their homes. That is not correct. And we want citizens to be watching us, to be vigilant. We want to continue to provide the sanity leadership so that the people can produce more maize. And now, what have we done? We are producing D-compound locally. This has reduced. I was just buying D-compound the other day. Unbelievable. Just last year, we were buying more than 1,200, 1,400. D-compound has now reduced between 700 and 750 kwacha. Why are we not talking about this drastic reduction? It takes a methodical leadership to plan. These problems, for now, people can talk as if nothing is happening. Give us time. Fertilizer now has reduced to that. You see the price of mini meal in the long term is going to reduce because people are going to plant more, people are going to sell their maize at a good price, and people will be paid within the shortest possible time. Let's go to, what was the other question? SOS, the drainage one. Yes, I will engage my young brother, Shakafuswa. I will bring it to his attention. Mr. Kapumba has raised a very good issue on the very important point there on a water leak around the main entrance of Showground. Please we'll engage Lusaka Water to go in. Sometimes such leakages are not spotted quickly because there could be internal faults within an institution. For example, if University of Zambia, who manage their own connections and they have a leakage in there, it doesn't become a utility issue. It's an issue within the institution. It's like in your home, when you have a leakage in your home, it's not for Lusaka Water. So we need to also ascertain this one, whether it's a problem within the facilities of the showgrounds or indeed it's coming from our network. What was the other question? I think
that,
yes.
and time has caught up with us now. We need to go. I would ask that you make your concluding remarks, Honorable Minister.
I want again to assure our people of Munali, but also the people of Zambia that we are focusing on mobilizing more resources like Temani asked. We need to put more money to ensure that we provide our people with adequate security. The same in agriculture, we need to put more money. We need to put measures to ensure that what we have started, for example, producing D-compound locally, it will put less pressure on Treasury to always look for a lot of foreign exchange with which we needed to import fertilizer. But also, when there's a situation that is obtaining now between Russia and Ukraine, you find that you can easily get stuck because most of the time the fertilizer and what we're depending on those countries there. But now we are producing D-compound locally. These are gains that we must sustain going forward. And beyond that, we want to see urea being produced locally. And this is why this government was also trying to push hard to recapitalize the Kafue nitrogen chemicals. and which we want to pursue, but also we must also have the private sector playing its role so that we have the abundant supply of both D-compound and urea, but being produced locally. In the long term, it's going to ensure stability of our staple food. But you must also appreciate that the demand is not just internal demand, it's also beyond our borders. If you go to Eastern Province, there's a lot of maize going through artificial borders of Eastern Province. You go to the Copper Belt, a lot of mini meal and maize going through the other. What we want is to ensure that let's continue having more milling plant, produce more maize, and we must not be exporting maize. We must be exporting finished products so that we add value and create jobs internally, and what we must be supplying out there should be finished products to help us earn forex. So we want to encourage people, like the president has been encouraging, that let us utilize the available space you have. Zach, the problem we have for many years, and this is a problem when I was mayor of Lusaka, one of the key meetings I went to outside, which we were promoting, was urban agriculture. I went to Zimbabwe we went to do a case study there on what is happening. When you go to Zimbabwe, even in the police camp where people are living in small houses, they have a vegetable garden where they are planting that rape which stays for 5 years. Rugare, they call it Rugare Nzim. I hope I got it correct, but we call it 5 years. They'll have a small bed. Instead of planting flowers, they have tomatoes. You know, that way you are producing for your consumption, but your neighbors, others will come and also buy. So let's promote that. I went into some low density areas, high profile areas. In their backyard, they'll have 2 or 3 animals for milk, for dairy animals. So what we must promote in Zambia is that there's too much land around. You know, right now, look at the temperatures. We are running with about 33, 34, 35 degrees. While we are complaining about this heat, it must help us to produce food. If you had a solar mechanized borehole, you put solar there. With this heat, you should see how the sprinklers are running, and you can put two sprinklers running on solar. You are irrigating maize, and you have. From 2012, I'll give me as an example. I've just been a minister for 2 years, but I can tell you from 2012, I produce my own maize in Silverest here. It's just a small portion, less than 2 acres. I get about 800 bags every year, which I feed my workers in my different companies and also feed myself. What I'm saying is that wherever you have a small, we might not all be planting maize, but learn to plant some tomato, small things. In Kaunda Square, you might say, no, you are saying that because what about the people who stay in small yards? I can tell you, I lived in Kaunda Square. I grew up in Kaunda Square. When I was a councillor for 5 years, deputy mayor of Lusaka, I lived in my small house in Kaunda Square Stage 1, where the yards are very small. It's just 18 by 20 square meters of a plot. But I had a small garden in front of my veranda there. So I think this is what we must begin to promote, that we must learn to produce our own food. Sometimes we waste too much opportunities, we waste too much land. Look at our friends who come here from outside the country who don't have this resource we have, the sun. Quickly, they'll take advantage of that, put a small solar thing, they are watering. They will not complain about the bills, they will reduce on the bills, on the water bills. 2, they will take advantage and produce small things within their yard. Now, we can learn these lessons from just across the border, Zimbabwe here. I think this is what we're doing. Sometimes you have so much land, which you even rent out, because you yourself, you don't want to produce food. Come on. So someone comes and say, oh, I have someone I know who got 50,000 kwacha and gave someone to be planting tomatoes there. The 50,000 kwacha will go within a short time. The other guy is going, how can someone come, Zach, on your piece of land and pay you 50,000 kwacha for one season. It means it's going to make more than 50,000 kwacha. So why don't you make it yourself? Go and learn, go and see what Zach is doing, go and see what Mike Mponsha is doing, plant there, get a few boxes of tomatoes. And you know, farming is a career, if you like, which all of us at one point, we are going to converge and meet there. And you know how I spend my time when I have a bit of 1 hour, 2 hours on a Sunday afternoon, I'll take a drive. The other day I went to State Lodge to go and see some lawyer who has set up a factory there making sausages and keeping goats. I just went to learn how he's doing to keep goats and what. You know, such interactions, such networks are important. This issue of just sitting and talking and being on social media platforms,
and going to Munali One.
No, going to Munali One is very productive because at some point you need to unwind. But the social media platforms are good. You know, each time I go on social media platform, I want to see who is selling land, who is doing what, even if I'm not buying land. Me, when I buy a newspaper, I run through the stories and go into the adverts. I need to understand what is selling at what price, who is buying at what price, and all these things. I think we need to cultivate that culture. You know, success in life is not by accident. You must cultivate the spirit of wanting to go towards all these issues. I go into a neighbor, I find the neighbor is keeping sheep and what. I go there, I would, hey neighbor, what? Oh, I'm Mike Mponsha. Oh, sir, I just admire this. You know, sometimes you need to go there, even if you don't have the money. You need to learn from other people. There's nothing that just happens. Even in school, we had to learn from somebody. So we are doing everything possible again to push more projects on water. On CDF, 2023, we've just gotten clearance. We've had delays again, contracts, but Charleston, we are working on your roads around Charleston Big Market and the connecting roads going to the old Charleston Police. We are doing those roads. We are also doing some roads around from Palm Drive. They are going towards the Charleston Big Market. We are also doing some feeder roads from Palm Drive going into towards the small market, Charleston, and around in Nkoloma Stadium going into Kamanga. We are also doing a big road called the Lubwa Road from ZNS, Mutumbi Road, all the way up to Mrs. Kawiku. It's a big road. It will help us to dread traffic from Greatest Road. We are also doing some small roads around Kaunda Square. We are doing major roads around connecting PHI to Mahatma Gandhi, which I talked about. We are also doing some big roads around Chainda, connecting Simon Masakapwepwe into IBEX. We are also working on some roads between NRDC and Mtendere East, between NRDC and Mtendere East to connect to Salama Park. And we're doing another road called the Bag Road, connecting Karikiriki into Mtendere East, going towards a place called Siders. So these are major roads that for a long time were neglected, and we are putting money into there. And I'm hoping that before we receive serious rains in December, most of these areas will have been touched on.
Great. Honorable, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, Zach, for having me.
Good interaction.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Well, listeners, that's what we had for you today. And definitely our guest was Honorable Mike Mponsha, who is Munali Member of Parliament and the Minister of Water Development and Sanitation. We'll definitely be back this Thursday with yet another interesting discussion on the burning issue. That is the Thursday edition of the burning issue. Thank you very much to our partner radio stations for carrying this live. So until then, from us, it's take care of yourselves and more so of each other. Bye-bye.
Paxton Auto Space.